All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, minutes. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve, but minus my name as I was on vacation. I wasn't.
Okay, minus. And also Kemp was not here. Okay. Minus.
I have one comment at the
You want to second? Just 1 second. I just want to get that. Okay. Comment.
Under item 6, letter B, in the first sentence, it references a 2% reduction. I'd like to clarify that that was a retainage reduction by inserting the word retainage.
Thank you.
Donna, will you amend to make a motion with the changes?
I will amend to make a motion with the changes.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Yep.
Ellen?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so there are 3 changes.
He's in the waiting room.
What?
Kira's in the waiting room.
Okay.
All right.
All in favor?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes, sir,
Aye.
Gare.
Okay, thanks.
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Okay, Donna's abstains.
So then I would have to make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you?
Okay. And then Mario will second.
I'll second.
Okay. Public participation, anybody? Public? Okay. Progress, okay. You're up, Danny.
Good early evening, everyone. Let's see, so in your packet, or information that was shared previously is a commentary. I can run through some of the items that we wrapped up in the month of July. Just touch on some of the work that's been ongoing in August. Through the commentary, I mentioned on the exterior of the building, the cement fiber panels were in progress. They remain in progress on stair 3, and that is on the leftmost limit of the photo you see on your screen. Those are what are called cement fiber panels. They wrap up and around the building. They finish the piece on the side of the building. They finish the piece on the roof. They're still working on the section going up above the chillers.
What's the difference between those and the brown ones?
There's the other type of panel, so this is an actual metal panel. And so you actually have 3 claddings. The ones that are wood look are known as matte metal. Those are just a shaped piece of sheet metal. And then you have an ACM panel, or Alucobond is commonly referred to, and it's an insulated metal panel of about 1/4 inch thickness that gets routed and returned to make a standoff shape. So those have more 3-dimensional capacity and are Kynar paint finished to specific colors. So you have the 2 metal panels and then a cement fiber panel, which is indeed a cementitious based product. Just a different look and a different makeup.
They all look nice.
Yeah, the stair 3 tower looks pretty good. And when the leaves come off of Route 8, that's what people will see.
Yeah.
Let's see, so in addition, on the rooftop, we landed and started and piped the air handling equipment. On the inside of the building, I'll just read through some of the items. Lower level gypboard, we've now, at the time it was in progress, we started sheetrocking from what would be the south limit for us, where you walk in closest to the pond, working that gypboard towards the construction tech area. That gypboard is now hung, taped. They're in their 3rd coat and sanding process there. On the first floor, hydronic piping was in process at the time, is now wrapped up. The overhead inspections throughout the building are finished, so we're finishing dropping tile. I mentioned here that the plumbing fixture installation on the 3rd floor was complete, the 4th floor is in progress. They're still in the building, they're still putting in fixtures, wrapping up plumbing work at this time. The 4th floor coat of paint complete, corridor paint was in progress, it's wrapped up at this point. I mentioned doors are hung virtually throughout. We've held off some just for protection purposes. And then I referred to the loading area. If you recall, we had a portion of the building where there was a large curtain wall that we left the curtain wall out for bringing product into the building. Since closed those up, we're working those and bringing those level of finishes up to match the rest of the space. So at this point in time, B1, the ceiling grid's in there and the trades are finishing off the above ceiling work. Very similar on 2, 3 is a little bit further behind. The 4th floor is actually where the greenhouse is, and there is no ceiling in there, but we finished the resinous floor in there, and we've installed the casework in there, so we're picking up, the missing pieces of that portion of the building, which brings us to some pictures. On the screen, you see final cleaning. We have now completed final cleaning on B2 and A2. B3, A3 is wrapping up tomorrow with floors. So they've cleaned everything down and they've done floors.
Dan, you want to just quickly explain the open ceiling tiles? What's gonna happen there?
Yep, so as Dave mentioned, there are a significant number of tiles you see that are not dropped in place yet. There's 2 activities that still remain in the classrooms for putting in tile. One is the balancing operation. We have to get back to set water speed to all the units and manual dampers that control the airflow to each of the diffusers. We leave those ceiling tiles out until after that process wraps up. The other activity is installation of the AV systems in the classrooms. So this is the owner's direct contract that was part of your technology bid package. That trade contractor, not really trade contract, that vendor working for the city, it is, okay, I'll try again. That vendor has been on property. If you recall, he was a week to 2 weeks late in getting into the building and was having some trouble getting his product. So he ran the wiring where he could. Right now, his scope of work involves installing a box in the middle of the room. We call it a plenum enclosure. That controls the audio-visual signal, brings the wires for the audio-visual system into it, and then routes that information to the teacher stations. So he gets back into the ceiling to set speakers, to set that box, and run his cabling. Our trades then have to follow him by tying in the PA system, because when the PA system wants to tell people something, it has the ability to mute anything that's happening that's delivered by the teacher station. And then we have to hit that box with electricity. So there's a receptacle that goes in there and a termination of our PA system.
And
So
you did a mock-up of that one room.
Oh, that's right. Yep, as something that D'Agostino, the technology AV consultant working under SLAM, requested, we completely built out one of the rooms to make sure that dip switches could be set properly, volumes could be established for where you want volume levels, and just fit and finish. So we had done that a couple weeks back now and invited D'Agostino, invited Rachel's IT group into the room. They got to play with the buttons and plug in the laptop and see how things worked. So I was mentioning that we are in the process now of punching out. So classrooms being finished and final cleaned, we are now going through generating our punch list. Next week we have scheduled with SLAM and Ed and Mario to come through and augment our list, and then we are releasing the trades to follow behind. That punch list process works through B2, B3, B4, and then down to the first floor, all ahead of your furniture deliveries. So working there, we're probably, overall I would have been, I was targeting about 2 weeks prior to where we are today, but you are well ahead of your October 15th furniture delivery date. Okay, so next photo I think is, there's some siding. And that's the cement panels above the roof line. So the door that you see on the far right of that picture is when you want to walk up your 5 flights of stairs and go out onto the roof. We have just another progress picture in, I believe it's B, that we're looking down the corridor. That was just as we started finished flooring. we are now finished floored through the second floor, the third floor, and the team has moved to the fourth floor. So I will jump to Area A, where I can again say that above ceiling inspections are finished up, with the exception of a couple of the isolated areas you'll see in the next picture or two. Plumbing fixture in progress on the fourth floor, finished flooring. We've actually rolled carpet now in Area A, because you have, the second floor has some carpeted areas, and the fourth floor Board of Ed area has a lot of carpeted areas. Those areas are installing, and then in a week or so, they'll come down to one. I mentioned that the display board installation is complete, elevator lobby gyp board complete, entry vestibule gyp board is in progress. There's a photo of that. Third floor doors and fourth floor doors were finished, now all the doors are finished. And I mentioned the corridor flooring, taking an interior shot. So there's just looking at it from the end of the hallway, looking down at Area A. This was a couple weeks later after the floor was down and the paper was down. And so now you're in the main corridor, looking left at what is elevator 1 that takes you up to the Board of Ed. The final work in that space required the display cases. Those are the two large boxes on the right-hand side. The current status of that space is it's taped top, finished, painted, and the grid installation nearly complete. Some of the trades have started dropping their work into the grid. Our next photo is of the entrance vestibule. So storefront systems were installed, I think, at the last tour. What you're looking now is the sheetrock is finished. We actually have an architectural wall that's splayed that sits in front of the wall that you're looking at. The window is the pass-through on the left-hand side that looks into the reception area. So this is the view you have as you literally enter the space. The actual bullet-resistant glazing arrived on property today for that transaction window and for the door and side light that are adjacent to it. Some very substantial glazing, it's almost an inch thick. Okay, so I'll move ahead. I think Area C on the exterior, you're looking at the corridor that would be on the left side if you're standing on the exterior of the building as you approach the auditorium. So we have that window system on both the left and right-hand sides of the auditorium. Those are now installed and glazed. Exterior-wise, I think that's pretty much it, with the exception of the roof. All of the air handlers on the roof have been set. And then I move back to the interior. I mentioned that the overhead work is nearly complete. We're actually starting overhead inspections in that space. I mentioned that the auditorium reflector panel system, which was the last piece off the elevated platform, is complete. That's the photo you see there. You're standing on the stage looking out at the auditorium. And the next activity to follow is the framing of the perimeter walls that separate the auditorium from the ramps that go up to the auditorium. What's in your photograph is kind of interesting. Those are the 45-foot tall studs that span from the slab up to the structure, up to the roof. Mighty big studs. At this point in time, all those studs are in. There was a specialty lift that we had to bring in for that, or I should say our trade contractor brought in for that, and that work is now complete. So now it feels, you can feel the room because you actually feel the perimeter walls. And in my comment, I said that the soffit framing was in progress. It's all framed now. Now we're putting in the in-wall rough-in. Some good news on the auditorium, on the stage. We're wrapping up the stage because our critical path runs both through the auditorium finishes as well as the stage finishes. The good news is the stage rigging contractor is holding his date. He actually moved from the 9th back to the 5th of September for a start date. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that there is an auditorium with a bunch of seats, and then to the right of that, a bunch of gray lines. Those is the battens. There is about a 5-week duration that we'll be installing curtain battens and lighting fixtures on those curtain battens. And that again begins on September 5th. Moving ahead then to Area D, I start by saying on the exterior of the building, all of the units have been set. The chillers went through startup, and so we do have chillers running now. We have air handling units on the A and B building running. We have to add more load to the building so that we can run the chillers more, and we have to finish cleaning the building so that we can recycle the air. At this point, we don't want to be dragging construction air into the air handling system, so we only run the units occasionally when our outside humidity is not too high for the system to manage. But it is controlling space temperature, and we still have some temp dehumidification units in the space to pick up so we don't exceed our humidity maximums. Let's see, I mentioned that the piping to the units is finished, and then I moved to the high school and middle school cafeteria, but I'll mention here, the picture you're seeing is the residence floor. So that is the servery. The big opening in the farthest point of your photo is the opening into the middle school cafeteria, and this is a photo standing at the high school cafeteria looking into the servery. Since this photo was taken, the floor has been protected, all of the finish work in the ceiling was done, ceiling pads have been dropped, and kitchen equipment, servery equipment has all been put in place for connections by the MEP trades. We're doing actually a little better than I expected. We're only a couple of weeks away from being completely ready to put water and power to that equipment. So let's see, I mentioned the high school cafeteria. There it is with the lovely circular LED lights. That's pretty much how it looks today. We're not, that's a picture of the kitchen equipment after it's arrived, before it got unboxed and put in place. So all of that equipment now is in place in the servery and in the kitchen area. And our next photo is, I believe, of the pieces of equipment in the kitchen under the hood.
There's a lot of equipment there.
Yes, that's what it is. And then we move to the middle school cafeteria, and there is the Mario Longobuco stair.
Memorial staircase.
That is known as a Viva. That's just a manufacturer stair and rail system. Those are stainless plates between stainless posts with wood accents that bring you down from the second floor of the middle school and is the primary access for the middle school population to go to the cafeteria. And again, that would be if you're on your right is the servery and the coil and grill that locks that area off.
That stays open underneath there like that?
Yes, it's got cane rails that are now installed. Right now, like on the floor, you see a circular rail that's a handrail that hasn't been installed, but something similar is a cane rail that's under there. But to your point, Dean, yes, it is open.
How high is it?
The railing's only about,
No,
all that platform.
There's a
That
guy standing
platform is
underneath
about
it.
halfway up a 14-foot system, so I'm gonna say it's 6. Yeah, I think that I see the construction worker just on the other side of it. It's probably about 6 feet.
6 feet, maybe a little bit more.
okay.
Yeah. And the cane rail, just for your education, if you don't know, it's to protect people from going under there. So if you don't have visual, it's in your way, you can't walk under there and bonk your head.
Thinking middle schoolers.
Middle schoolers, yes, they could probably walk right up, or myself, I could walk right up there.
Mario, you're quiet.
I can as well.
Okay, all
Is that
right.
what you're looking for?
I just want the record to reflect that, Mario.
Okay.
This is our focus.
So moving out of Area D and into Area G. Area G is, of course, the middle school gym and the area just in between the middle school gym and the high school gym. On the exterior of the building, this is a photograph taken from what will be the future primary parking area. That window system is installed and the glazing system is installed. Similar to that, we have the clear story windows that look down into the gym. That window system is now installed as well. What that allows us to do is control the atmosphere, the environmental condition in the gym for what is forthcoming work. We have the wood delivery. We had a pre-construction meeting with our wood flooring contractor this week. And we have wood delivery on 8/26, from Monday. They'll get started in that space. And let's see, acoustical wall panels were installed in there. We did the final finish paint in there. We have 2 large paddle fans in there, so we put the blades on there, we hadn't put those in previously, just so they wouldn't get damaged. So all the overhead work is done, touch-up painted is finished, set the acoustical panels, start the floor.
Those fans have the usual guard open,
Nope.
no guard on them?
No, paddles are big.
Oh, I know,
It's gotta be
they're
like
huge.
10 foot, 12,
Yeah,
12 foot diameter.
Yeah. Let's see, anything else I mentioned in gym? I mentioned the AV system is also finished in that. Moving ahead then to area E, our middle school wing, the last of the glazing systems, you're looking at the exterior window from the interior of the building. So all of the window systems are now installed there. We've not pushed real hard in that area as far as ongoing work. We've allowed the mechanical trade to finish up his ceiling work, and the grid contractor has been busy in the rest of our building. Conforms with our overall delivery schedule, so where we wanted to see if we could just push things a little harder, we cooled our heels a bit. The mechanical trade is through area E1 and F1 and is on now the second floor. We will be returning with grid in there next week, and then the trades can pick up their pace again. So other items to mention in area E is we've proceeded with the restroom tile. It's the same as you saw in our AD building. That work is finished with the first floor. The trade is now on the second floor. The first, second, third floor are all gypped out and painted out. When the grid contractor has time, he goes up and he puts wall angle up just to fill the time. So I think our exterior of area F is about the same. Oh, big thing in area E is the last elevator in this area. That work is actually finished. The platform is finished. On Monday, the CMU contractor comes in and closes the front of all 3 floors, and then the shaft is done and we can close up in front of it. So area F, the main entrance storefront, a little hard to see here, that got installed last month. The work you see on the screen, what we tried to depict is the MAC panel, that's that wood, simulated wood metal panel. The contractor is finishing that work on the overhead. You see it fits in the triangular V shape on the left-hand side as you enter the building, and then carries across into the soffit. So that's pretty much on the exterior. We had so our cement panels are actually fabricated in Europe, and then they're shipped to the Midwest, where after we field dimension all the exact sizes of each panel based on the actual field conditions, they get cut to size and finished in the Midwest and shipped to us. We're about 2 weeks until we receive the product for the first delivery, which coincides with finishing up the stair tower in area A and B. And then last, a picture of the interior in F. That was our progress of the entry vestibule. A lot of overhead work, a lot of in-wall work. And again, the framing and construction there is bullet resistant. So our photos now take us to the exterior of the building, where we really jumped on getting the roadway finished. A lot of concrete to pour, realigning of the road and putting the permanent concrete in place. So I mentioned that the light pole bases are installed, raceway is installed, precast curb is in progress. It's finished on the roadway now. We have one last section to finish on the back towards the to the rear of the school. Subgrade is finished now. Subgrade is, we actually paid today, very exciting day. On the screen is retaining walls. They've been finishing up retaining walls. This is the retaining wall on the left-hand side as you approach the main entrance to the high school. Just thought for clarity purposes, why are there all those little sonotubes? Those are the foundations for the fence poles. It says retaining walls require tensile strength to prevent them from falling over. That grid that comes off the wall and it ties it back into the embankment, we have to coordinate around drilling holes. So we don't want to drill holes through the grid. We put in these sonotubes as foundations for the future poles, and then we cut the grid around them, and then we backfill the wall. So that wall is now finished, and I believe the next picture takes us to some more retaining wall. We finished up the retaining wall behind the school on the side of the turf field. This is an interesting in-progress shot, but the next picture gives you some idea of the magnitude. So now I'm standing on the left-hand side, if I'm staring up towards the turf field of your existing gym. And that is where we cut back and removed the existing retaining wall and have fully constructed the retaining wall that will be allowing traffic to still make it around the back of the school. A lot of work was involved in wrapping that up. Let's see, so there's the joy shot. So yeah, today was pave day. Today we hit pave day on the nose. We started fine grading. We had some concerns with the weather from last week. We were supposed to start fine grading on Monday. We still had concrete to pour. So we had pours on Monday and Tuesday. We actually had a pour yesterday as well. And then we finished the fine grading compaction, and today is paved. So if I've got my bearing straight, I'm looking down the road in the left-hand picture, and on the right-hand picture, I'm looking out towards Winthrop. So when I say down the road, I think that's incorrect. If I'm standing on the left-hand shot, the school is to my left, and I'm looking at the permanent Major Bessie Drive, looking what would be your existing school on the left-hand side. And then the right picture is spinning a 90-degree turn and looking back at Winthrop Drive. You can see on the left-hand side picture, on the left, the guardrail posts are installed, the fence is installed. Next week, we dress these areas. Those will now be outside the construction fence area and will be the permanent, or the path for parent drop-off, starting here in a week and a half. So, yep, that's the hard set. Yeah, now I'm looking up at my trailer. So to kind of give you an understanding, refresher, where the public used to drive up Major Bessie Drive and turn right, they are now on that same exact path. We've just elevated the road about 5 feet. And then we've constructed a new road further to the south or to the right. So parent traffic will follow that road and will stay right again. Before, you used to go, last school year, you drove up the original driveway and then you stayed right and went around a little loop. Well, now you're gonna stay right and go around a larger loop on the permanent roadway. And then we took it as far as we could take it towards the rear of the school, towards Daily Drive, and we tied it back into the same spot. So we're pleased to be able to say we feel the public will be able to traverse this very simply, because it's very much a familiar traffic pattern. And we're dropping off in the exact same spot as we did all of last year and previous. And then once they finish, they come back down the same way and it ties in with one-way traffic. So our scope of work next week is again to dress things, to put the signage in, to stripe, add a couple of curbs for traffic control purposes, and then open the space up. Aerial photo taken on 8/2. In your packet, there's additional photos that we didn't put into the presentation. There's just a lot of pictures. But what was impressed me this time was just the aerial shots. There's a half a dozen of them in there, and they are, they're pretty spectacular to see. The new building is there. Another piece of commentary is we held a very early pre-construction or pre-planning session with the demo and abatement contractor. We invited the fire marshal. We are now in serious planning stages is for how we will attack and segregate the space. Part of that was to confirm to Dean what area he has to be decommissioned in. I like to use that word instead of just get out. As far as the extent of what will be necessary for us to take over and abate, start the abatement work in the existing gym in what is your building A. Went well. The demo contractor is excited that the work doesn't, it lands at a good time for him. It comes in the month of February, which is just it's a good time as far as resources availability. so the other thing he found was some really good access points to get to Building A and get it out to where the existing temporary parking lot is. You know, there's the new addition that was built in '99, that building can come out of the way quickly, and he can attack the back of the building and not get in our way as we continue our work between the two structures. So that was a good thing. That's the work that's ongoing. I'd say looking ahead at the month ahead, it's all about punch list. It's all about getting 100% of every piece of drywall and every ceiling tile installed. For myself, it's kind of the focus of the project management role. I'm now focusing heavily on building systems, bringing air handling systems online. All the water systems have been formally started up. Our manufacturer's reps have come out. All of our pumps are now under BMS control. The air handlers on the AV roof have BMS control. In the last month, we've engaged the city's IT contractor who brings in the internet to the building, as well as the switches that drive communication to all of the structured cables in the building. There is live internet in the building. BMS can see the building from off-site. He can, monitor conditions in the building. He can monitor pumps. He can monitor those air handlers. And they are heavy in the programming and final verifications that they have. The next process for us is fire alarm, security systems, hanging the exterior doors, and then we're looking ahead. I've scheduled now the state elevator first inspection, September 24th, and that's to ensure we have elevators operating for your FF&E delivery. Systems are ongoing. And that's all moving ahead according to plan. Anything specific on what we're doing out there that I can answer for you?
Just a couple quick ones, Dan. The paving, is that the permanent pavement? Or is there
Binder
another?
only was installed on that portion of the pave today. So that is binder only.
Okay.
We have a 3-phase paving program. Our next paving is in almost as late as the plants will close, because we're gonna put the pavement that goes from Major Bessie Drive around the back of the building, and we're gonna pave the parking lot that we're building permanently on Winthrop. So on September 3rd, the parking lot that used to be where my field office was and laydown area, that turns into a construction area. We're gonna fence that area off, and we're gonna put in the permanent parking lot there. At that same time, just for everybody's knowledge, the small temporary parking lot that we built out at Winthrop, that's part of that new parking lot. That's all going inside the construction beds. So that'll construct and that will pave along with that back driveway at the latter part of November of this year. And then next year in the summer, we pave final coat on Major Bessie Drive and up and around the back of the school. So we'll pave one more time before it gets too cold, and then we'll pave again in your summer break of 25.
So we don't have to worry about heavy machinery or, 25-ton trucks
We get
pulling
to
stuff
pound it
out.
for a while and see if it alligators.
And then you mentioned the parking lot. What did we ever decide to do with the conduit out for potential EV parking, which wasn't actually going to happen, but we talked about the concrete pads, and did that all happen, or is it happening?
The infrastructure that's in your base contract is in.
Okay.
It's brought out to the parking areas. There's one in the main parking area between the two schools, ultimately your larger parking area, and there's one in that center section, right?
They were just pads with caps on them, I think, weren't they?
They're, right, so right now, you bring up a good point in that we did not buy as part of the ad alternate, the installation of your actual devices.
Right.
But there's some benefit to revisiting whether or not you decide to move forward with that, just because that work could get incorporated now. We did apply on the city's behalf for the rebate that Eversource was offering.
Yeah.
They put us on the waiting list, so whether there's funds available is an unknown. But again, I was gonna revisit the question of whether or not you go ahead and buy that equipment, install that equipment. It may be beneficial to not have to go back and revisit that work later. At this point, it's, it would require the foundation to be put in, which we could do if we knew exactly which unit you were putting in.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, so the next piece of my presentation revolves on cost, impact, and schedules. I wanted to give you an update as to where the lower level was. As you recall, we moved forward. The electrical trade has installed the work. He's got the transformer and panels in the main electrical room installed. We've moved into the construction tech. We're not sheetrock yet, but it's moving forward. And the last cost has been vetted, and that would be for the actual dust collection unit and impacts to the HVAC system. Those costs are now vetted through O&G and into CES. A little more negotiation, I think we'll get to the end of that. And then we have the last item, which is the rework portion of that, where we have to actually break open the walls and bring the ductwork and power out to feed the secondary unit. Cost ended up as submitted slightly lower, I think in the $15,000 to $18,000 range than what I had predicted there. The next item that I wanted to mention is the kiln. We've been going back and forth with the trades to get that resolved. We did actually get, to my understanding, we are at the point where we've gotten the final cost from electrical is settled. Correct. But we're, we got general trades back today. That's right, that's what it was. So the general trades guy, we're trying to squeeze him a little bit on what he's costing us for the new piece of equipment, setting it. Lastly is the bank room. We were waiting on one more cost from the HVAC guy, which we actually received today as well. So we're gonna present that information and then weave that work in or not weave that work in, depending on the outcome of the decision there.
What's the time we need for that? When do we need a decision on that?
It's retrofit at this point. I've suspended the work in the room. I mean, it's not a tremendous amount of work. We're building a couple of walls and bringing it in. I don't foresee a problem delivering that area as long as we make the decision in the month of September. Let's see, so then I always put in bold my bad news about the basement, which says I'm 13 days later than my January 1st completion date for final clean, that we will have the construction tech room finished and occupiable, but not with equipment. At this point, I won't guarantee that we can land the equipment and connect the equipment and turn it on and commission it and balance it before the students actually roll into the space. They will have a space to sit and learn, but they won't have their equipment connected. We'll be working on that work after hours, unless things just align better, people move a little faster, and it comes together. But my schedule doesn't say that. I mentioned the bank room, just because the last thing we're gonna do is roll the corridor floor through there, so that's the task or activity that gets hit. And I did put in writing here that, that we're about 2 weeks off of where I wanted to be with final clean and start a punch list, but I carried so much time, I carried from now until October to punch out what is your A and B classroom area.
Andy, go ahead, Ellen.
Can you refresh my memory on the bank room change? I
Yeah,
don't remember that.
so there's an ATM in the existing high school.
Yeah.
And we understood kind of late in the game that that's something that wanted to get incorporated into the project. So the design requirements were provided to SLAM, who then provided a design to support that space. They basically took what was a, what do you want to call it, a timeout room?
ISS.
Yeah, call it an in-school suspension kind of room. And they cordoned off an area that was about 8 by 8 in order to house the equipment and somebody who can physically sit in that room in order to make transactions through a window, through a roll-up door, similar, like you drop off your kitchen, your cafeteria tray. There's a roll-up door there, so when somebody from the bank sits in that room, they can transact with the student population. And then there's an ATM that lives in the same space. So having a separate room requires separate lighting and air exchanges and that type of thing. Through conversation with Ed and with the group, the cost of that work is something that doesn't want to be funded through the project, wants to be funded through the bank, who has said that they will fund it, but that we didn't give them a number in order to know how much that actually cost. And so we've been struggling to get the final cost for what the extra piece of chill beam is. And now we finally got that, we can pass that up the chain. It's not a cheap change. Every time you add a chill beam, you're adding $4,000 to $5,000 worth of equipment and labor to install. Don't know if I dropped that number in here. 43K was my estimate, and that was based on not knowing what the HVAC was. And my man Mike over there, he knows what that number is.
22.
Overall?
No,
Oh!
right, you were anticipating 14, but it's
Right.
22.
Okay, so I carried $14,000 as an estimate to cool and provide air to that space.
8 by 8.
It's over
It's
$50,000.
So now it's $51,000.
Do they realize the magnitude of that expense?
I had given them the 43K as an order of magnitude, some time ago. Whether they'll proceed on a 51K number, I don't know.
We're not gonna proceed until they give us a check.
And what bank is he?
It's the credit.
It's a credit union.
The one on North Elm.
And that wasn't in the original scope.
Wasn't in the inspect.
At the point of dollars and cents, my summary data page also in your packet lets you know that I'm 77% on the buildings, 72% on the later part of the delivery, the gym and the temporary classroom areas of E1, and 67% on the balance of your E and F building. The overall project cost didn't change on the, it went up $74,000 on the owner side, month to month. The O&G side of the CM contingency dropped by almost the same $70,000 month to month. We still have an uncommitted amount of a little over $1 million. On the financial side, again, we are now at a build rate of 74%, which is very consistent with the physical progress percentages of 77, 72, 64.
Okay, you've consistently missed the mark on HVAC estimates, and it's not you.
It is.
No, it's not. It's MJ Daly, they're gouging us. They're-
No,
they're-
well, I mean, it's, I
they're
mean, listen,
definitely-
there are some controls with what the pricing is and things, right, that we have as far as what,
Oh, absolutely.
what they're bound to as far as pricing the widgets. You know what I mean?
Danny's not such a bad estimator that he misses every single HVAC bid. They're 10 to 30% high on every single item.
We have reined them back, to Mario's point, we have reined them back in on every change,
They've
They're
been,
not I've had more egregious contractors, but they're not certainly in the
Well,
normal range either.
they, first of all, the owner did not return 6 of my calls, which really pissed me off. Finally got to talk to him, and he's giving me the roundabout. I says, we pay you within 30 days, all contractors. You don't get paid like that in any other contractor in the state of Connecticut. And he agreed. I says, that money means something to us, and it should mean something to you. And so far, he better step up, or
Yeah, well, he's running out of time to step up.
Yeah.
He's killing us on these extras,
Yeah.
killing us.
I expect we're running out of time to have recourse too. I mean, as far as hold back
Right.
of dollar amount, every time we pay him, there's a retainage, but every time we pay the contractor, we're moving further down the road.
Closer to finish, but really, I think what we're circling on here is Mario's thought that, are they really 25% high on everything they're providing price for? And then to Dave's point, what are the mechanisms that we use to vet that cost? We know how many feet, we know how much a typical foot of pipe can cost. That's the first step in every change review, is I'm shaving back hours, and then I'm making sure that they're consistent is with MCA standard rates for the productivity that we expect to get. What doesn't work that well in that scenario is they can charge for every nut, every bolt, every hanger, you know. There's mechanisms on their side of the equation that allow them to really sandbag some of the cost, and we drag it back. And so at the end of the day, yes, they're coming in 25% higher than where you would expect their number to be, and I have to drag them back to that. So we go through that exercise, and then we hand it to CES, who then does it again. Because with a better keen eye, you know, they can pick out things that just aren't, you know, that they can argue about. Unfortunately, of late, some of the comments we get back from CES say, you know, don't give them 24 hours for that, give them 16. That's hard for me to manage at that point, because I've measured the footage of pipe. I know, you know, what the rate is, what they can get per linear foot of pipe. But we try, and then we get our next 5%. And then we're keeping them in check. What you have here, why I think my estimates are low, frankly, is that these are expensive components. You know, every time you add a chill beam or an air piece of ductwork that's got a coil in it, it requires a very expensive valve. Those valves used to be $800, $900, now they're $1,400, $1,500 a piece. You know, it's just, prices of product has gone up. I think that's, you know, that's part of where my thumbnail estimates are coming short. And it comes back down to, there's not much more you can do. You squeeze those places where you can squeeze, and then you're faced with a decision. This committee will be faced with another decision. We finally got the final costs in for the space use change on the last area of our work. The estimate there is, I was carrying about 125, 128K, and the number went in at about 160K. I was gonna say 148, but 160K. So this group has a desire to change the space, but there's a cost associated with it. And the best we can do is the best we can do. There's, you know, I can't get it for free. It's gonna cost what it's gonna cost. Shave that initial 10, 15%, get another 5% on second look, that's where you're gonna be.
At the 132 or at the 160?
Right now, it's at 160,
Somewhere
and
between, it sounds like.
and that one, I just moved forward to CES out of time. You know, we're out of time. That's where the other part of this process, you know, at the beginning of the game, we had the luxury of time, being such a large project with such a long duration. We're at a point now where we don't have that luxury. I need to be in the overhead airspace coordination of that by the end of September.
So the 2 years of them being out of sequence and causing delays, what are we doing about that? It just goes on,
Well, what they've done is they've lost a ton of money because they've worked overtime on their own dime for almost a year.
which only bolsters my opinion that they're trying to make it all back.
That's what they're doing.
Well, right,
It's not an
no,
opinion,
I get it,
Yeah.
listen,
You're
they're-
spot on.
Right.
you know, if it was easy to just change ships and go to someone else, I mean, we don't love the place we're in with them, right? But the only way this job is gonna get done is, we are going to drag them and push them over the finish line. Bruised, beaten, battered, I mean, they're installing a component of work that is highly complex, that is highly sensitive to warranties. We don't wanna get in the thing where we're saying, hey, you're out, you're in.
Oh,
These
thank you.
become very difficult things, there are labor shortages across, I mean, trust me, the team is spending a lot of time babysitting a sub-performing contractor. But at this point, the best course is, between all of our involvement, is we are going to pick them up, throw them over our shoulder, and drag them across the finish line with us.
No, I agree with
You know
you,
what I
but
mean? It's
it-
painful, I
I'm
know,
going
and
from here
there's gotta be
back
a,
there, because they are in the building right now, writing their own punch list. That's the level of involvement that we've forced. We are in a position where we're final cleaning, we're writing punch lists. I'm not writing down all of their work items that they have to finish, they're writing them down. So they've brought in their director of operations and the two foremen that built the job, and they're in the building right now. And they'll be there till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, finishing a punch list, which is a requirement of contract at this stage of the job. They have to tell me everything that's not 100%.
And on top of that too, we've taken some action on their behalf, and of the payment that was paid to us, there's a portion of that because we shelled out money and brought people in to do things like with the conditioning, and we said, that's our money, pay us back, and we're taking action, and they're being held financially responsible. It's not, we're not asking for that financial burden to be borne by the city.
But how much have we incurred in expenses from people being out of sequence and doing work or redoing work?
None.
The other trades, like the back charges that you've seen, are the charges that if I have a cost from a trade that's a direct impact, there's a process in which you manage that. And, that's not cost to this group, it's not a cost to the city of Torrington. The efforts, as Dave mentioned, for bringing in equipment, manpower to supplement their temporary conditions didn't touch this committee or the funds of the project. Have the other trades squealed? Yes. Are they upset about it? There's I think the ramification is that nobody does them any favors anymore because they're hurting their productivity. If I'm a drywall contractor and I can do 80% of my work, but I have to hold back on 20% because one trade is not finished. The drywall contractor takes that for a while and then he says, you know what, you need something from me, forget it. But if he says, I'm gonna charge Mr. O&G to go back in that space, then that charge goes against MAA. So there isn't a financial burden, there's a emotional burden, I think would be a better way to describe it.
You're talking about two different things. Their base contract, which you're not happy with. And then the other, what prompted this was the change orders.
Change orders.
So, I'm guessing, because I'm not that savvy on this anymore, but these change orders are going forward to not stop the job, correct? There's not, when the change orders are written, does it mean the change order is done for that dollar amount? Or is that something that's gonna be looked at the end, or maybe a fourth eye?
No, it's approved and then they do it.
So once it's approved for that dollar amount right now, that's, you're locked into that.
Right.
Plus or minus,
Well,
right,
then before
if
we
it
do
costs them
it.
twice as much to actually do that work than what the change order's for, not our responsibility.
Well, no, I
You know
mean,
what But it goes both ways, if they,
Exactly.
yeah, if they
That's-
do it for
that's
less,
business.
that's their
But
money.
that's business, but I guess my question is, going forward, can we project any change orders coming? I know this room is one of them, but, I mean, we're at the stage where we shouldn't be having any larger changes to this project,
No.
right?
Right. I don't want any more changes to
And I
the
guess
project.
my second question about this room is, we took a larger room, we made it into a smaller room. We made one large room into two small rooms, correct?
You're talking about the
Which room are
gym?
you talking about?
I'm talking about the
Bank room.
ATM machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, so we took one large room and now we made two rooms.
Mhm.
So we're talking about the heating and cooling on this end, right?
Right.
Talking about HVAC, so that's why we need that separate unit, because it's two separate rooms.
Lighting controls.
Extra door.
But the bank is paying for that.
Right.
If they choose to move forward.
In Ed's words, if they don't pay for that, we don't build that.
You don't build it, you don't build it. It's a $51,000 expense.
Right. So then it would stay as one room.
Right, at this point, I've just worked around the room, so to speak.
Okay.
But it's needed for the pathways, because the students work
Right,
there.
it's a strong curriculum
was-
desire.
Yes. So it's not
There's
that
the
we're,
rub.
I wouldn't throw the word out, we're not. So I would just be careful on that word, because it is needed, and it was in the original design, and I'm not gonna go back to who missed it or didn't miss it, but it was always at the high school. So on the initial walkthrough on the new building, it was never put in. And now that it is in and the bank is willing to work with us, I really don't think they're gonna throw away a room for $8,000. Because we're talking, it was an $8,000 delta, they agreed to one number, and I believe your higher number was $8,000 higher.
Right.
So we're really talking $8,000 here, we're not talking 51. So let's just keep the conversation around the delta as opposed to the complete amount. So even if the bank was on the hook for 43, and this team had to come up with 8,000 for a pathways to curriculum, that's the conversation. Just so everyone's on the same page.
Okay, John, you're up.
Well, like last month, it's been fairly quiet from a materials testing and inspection perspective. We're up to field report 78. We're tracking 18 items right now. Most of them are forward-looking or serving as reminders for work that's progressing through the middle school. There was a special inspection report done for the month of July, and there were no non-conforming items reported. Material testing, there's been a few, Dan mentioned the paving. There's been compaction tests that were done. They all came up to at or above compaction requirements. There were a few final fire protection or fireproofing test reports that all passed your inspections. Other than that, there was a site concrete which passed. No commissioning reports, and like Dan mentioned, we have this punch list starting, so there's a group going out Monday.
Monday's the invite, yeah.
Yeah, and starting to do that process. So I think commissioning and punch list are the next major, QA, QC type activities that are gonna be taking place. But up to date, the materials testing and inspections have shown everything is in order.
Next is the application for payment.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Oh, that's right.
we should take care of the.
Oh, no, that's gonna be on the rendering.
Okay.
All right,
Sure. Part B.
yeah, part,
Gotcha.
part D, yeah, sorry. Okay, application for payment of $4,578,629.83. Can I have a motion to approve? Doug, thank you. Second, Mario, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed, okay. Rendering, it's in your packet. The first rendering that we looked at last time was the, you wanna put it on the screen?
Yep, doing it now.
You have it as I handed it out.
Everybody see that?
Bless you.
Those are costs.
Unless it was a cough,
Bless
sorry,
you.
I can use
Well,
it. Yes, still was.
I can use it.
So on the call tonight is Amanda. And she can speak to any of the details of the changes that were made. My understanding is some of the wording was, the text was reduced in size, the rate of price was reduced. Amanda, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. So based on the comments that we got through Mario from the last time you guys looked at this, we changed the size of the wording. We made the words that are around the like kind of floating words more visible, and then we changed the Raider Pride to be smaller and the what you do well be larger. We also took the information Mario gave us on the correct T to make sure that we have the right visual for that T in the middle of the graphic. When we started looking at that, then we realized that because this sits right next to the Hall of Fame, we started working with the signage people to make sure that whatever we're doing with our graphic works with their graphic. So that's kind of where we have landed today on this portion of
So
what
this
are we
is
looking at elevation rather than just our piece and their piece separately.
Yeah, Amanda, I'm just gonna jump in. This is an image of the interior elevation for the gymnasium lobby. And you can see where the custom graphic is that we just looked at in larger detail. And then to the left of that is the Hall of Fame design in a draft form. And also on the call is Riley Cotton from the firm that is developing that design, also Patricia Fairchild. And we had a coordination call yesterday to coordinate these two different design components into a comprehensive composition for this wall. But just walking the group through, we have the Hall of Fame to the far left. We have the custom graphic upon entry. We have these grid-like things are display cases that are in that wall. And then there is a display monitor between those display cases. That's what makes up this wall. And Riley, if you want to join or jump in and talk about the Hall of Fame design. Is she there?
I think, yeah, she's muted.
She may be
I
muted.
think you may
She's
be
muted.
I think you're muted. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties.
We can't hear you.
We cannot hear you. Can't hear you still. Well, I can present the overall, at least what I know, and you can give us thumbs up or thumbs down if I misspeak. So we have three areas within the Hall of Fame zone. You can see the 97 through 2010 portion on the far left, and then there's a 2011 to some future year in the middle. The seal on the far right is kind of a placeholder right now to leave space for another badge in the future, for some future year to another future year. And what the intent was is that the seal would be a decal that could be removed and then could be replaced with another badge in the future. How'd I do?
So all
All
those
right.
little gold things are,
Our individual names.
plaques.
right,
Yeah, let me zoom in.
like the soccer team won second place.
No, these are individuals, right? So
Right.
there's Joe Blow right there with the year.
Individual names with the year.
What's the significance of 1997? Besides that I graduated that year.
That's when they started it. That's when they started it.
Oh, that was,
They didn't want my name out, I was 95.
you were
They
95,
want
yeah.
all the plaques from 95.
So 97 was the year they started naming these Hall of Fame individuals.
Okay.
Now,
Doesn't mean they
today,
graduated in 97, they
No,
go back
no.
in time.
yes, that's
They went
correct.
back in time.
They're just.
But I mean, next year, you know, if you were elected to Hall of Fame, it would just, that's the year you get elected. That's all. Not the graduation year.
Does it have the year with the name?
Graduation year?
No,
No, it has the name,
The year that they're
they're inducted.
inducted,
yes.
it's on that little,
yes, yeah.
so,
So there,
So why do
Riley's
you
still
need the
hammering
years
out the details of this
yeah.
plan with the Hall of Fame committee, which is Pat Fairchild and I think Pat Finn and all the Pats, Pat Strawson, all the Pats are on it. Now, what came up today though is, kind of looks a little weird, because they had a T right where that badge is, and we had a T.
Right. Originally, before our coordination meeting yesterday, there was a T on the far right as a placeholder, and when we looked at the whole composition together, there were two redundant Ts, one right next to one another, so
Right,
we decided, at least yesterday, and everyone kind of got the graphics up to speed with putting the seal in next to the, as a placeholder next to the Hall of Fame badges, as opposed to another T, so you didn't have two Ts right next to one another.
right.
Um,
Now, I don't know if you
Yeah,
caught
there
wind
was-
of that
There
today.
was some discussion today about possibly flip-flopping and
Right.
putting the seal in the custom graphic.
Right, the Hall of Fame folks, and I don't blame them, were crazy because they have, you know, square, circle. It kind of wasn't working for them. The T, I think, is kind of synonymous with the athletics, right? It's on our basketball courts, on our uniforms. So I was thinking maybe we moved it, we give them the T and we put the badge in the middle of our display. But that's all open to discussion.
think the original T for the high school was for the high school. The T that's there now.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, but my question is, back to the squares. Can you make that?
You wanna see the enlarged?
Yeah. Why do you need the years? Why can't it just say the Hall of Fame, because it has the,
Those are the years of induction,
but
1997 to
each
whatever
plaque
that says.
has the year, each little name tag has the year of their induction. So why do you need the years on there?
They're probably in order. I guess,
Yeah,
with OCD,
yes,
I'd put
yes,
them in order.
Yes.
But do you need that, because then you can have more room for more names?
So you're saying why the date
Why does it have to
ranges-
say 1997 to 2010 and 2011 to whatever? Just take that out. Because the heading is Athletic Hall of Fame recognition, or what?
Inductees,
Inductees, and it has their name and the year on it. So why do you need the year in big old letters there?
I guess,
So one thought is that when you're looking at the plaque, if you didn't have the years, my mind asks, why is there two plaques? You know, now I'm looking at why not just one larger one? And that doesn't segue well to the opportunity to add another one at some date in the future.
Mm.
You know, it gives it a purpose for having two separate, and then ultimately three separate visuals.
Riley responded to your question in the chat. She said the years will help people identify their names more easily.
yeah, that, I was just gonna say, if you go there, you say, I know my uncle got inducted sometime in the 2000s, right? You're gonna go over to that section and look for his name.
But by the same token, I mean, I've seen other places where it doesn't have it from 97 to 2010 or whatever. It just has the names and there's different sections.
And to your point, if it's chronological, you can walk up and
Right,
yeah,
find it pretty
that's-
quick.
yeah, and that's what I mean,
Right.
even if it's in the 2000s, you can find it
That's
pretty
something,
quick.
that's something that Riley could talk to them about.
I mean, it just makes it busier.
Well, you're
Well, I'm
thinking,
gonna speak for Riley again. I mean, this was a draft, right? For comment, so
Yeah, I'm only one person.
Yep.
And I'm just, it'll leave more room for more names. Because the date is on there anyway when they're inducted. Just make the heading maybe bigger letters, but take away the,
What's that say about the numbers?
Athletic
Is it-
Hall of Fame inductees, I think.
yes.
I can still see.
I can't with glasses on.
Just speaking of the logo, and Mario's question about the T, that logo will eventually go away. Right? So
Yeah, but it'll be quite a long time.
Well, it might be, but I mean, the T
Then there
is,
won't be a T.
but then there won't be a T anywhere on the
Right.
wall.
Right,
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I do like the T in the graphic, and actually, I love the newer graphic.
In our graphic, you mean?
The
Yeah, I
I'm saying,
like that
this
graphic,
gra-
not
I like
this
this
one.
version of the graphic a lot
Yeah.
better than this, but
yeah.
I just think that it would be, taking, the T would disappear, I'd rather see the Quad Benny-Fuck logo disappear than the T, just my opinion.
True. And there wouldn't be any T at all.
And I
Might take
suppose
30
the
years for it to
placeholder
happen,
could be a
but-
different object. It doesn't need to be the seal.
No.
You know, that was just a discussion yesterday.
If it's I see the square versus, but perhaps, I don't know how it would look, it might be too busy with the circle, with a square border, just to keep the squares consistent.
Right, yeah.
Maybe make it a little bit smaller, the seal.
Or would we prefer a blank, Riley's asking? You know, is it better to just leave that red wall
Right,
blank?
We could do this, can you do the same square and then put the,
What if you just put the third block up ahead of time?
Right.
Just put all three
Yeah,
blocks.
so it's
Put all three
understood and
blocks.
fill in.
and just use that as a placeholder, so it's not a blank.
You could put a decal
Oh,
even if you
Riley,
wanted to
how about
on the
that, if you put the
placeholder.
black,
So how about that
the
one?
black piece in, but you put the crest on the black piece?
On the block, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking, just pre-build it so we're done, then put the removable decal so it doesn't look so blank. Whether it's the circle logo or logos of the different kinds of sports we do, whatever it might be that committee decided, or this committee decided, it would be a more forward-thinking solution.
It'd be a good idea to put the black thing in and then put the
Right.
crest over the black thing, on the
Right.
black thing.
Wouldn't that make it look emptier? It would make us look like we have a long time to go before there's any inductees in that space.
Well, I think we're talking about filling the empty black badge with
With the logo.
seal
With
for
the
the
logo.
time being. And then-
So we replace the placeholder with the black.
So roughly every
And put the
13 years.
And then put the
Placeholder with it.
placeholder.
Ah.
So, yeah, no, I just think it's still a big black hole of how many years do we have until we start inducting for that.
Riley, do you know how many of those plaques are already filled on the second location? I mean, because the first one theoretically
It's filled.
lasted
Filled.
13 years, right?
Right.
If the second one lasts 13 years,
We're at about
You're
the
closing in on
representation, yeah, the representation on screen
Right.
might be pretty close to actual.
Yeah, she said approximately 275, and that's out of how many in a full badge?
275 per badge?
No, I'm
No, no,
guessing,
I'm filled.
Oh,
I'm guessing
filled.
that those are 150 each. If she's at 275 and you're there, I bet it's
Oh, I see,
I bet
okay.
it's 150
It's
for each.
275 total, so it's one,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting into the third.
So
Even,
there's 275 that are already
And at
spoken
5 a
for right
year.
now. And there's 150 per?
300, so it's
So within
25
2
left.
years,
She said there's an additional 5 additional years, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah,
5 additional
5 more
years.
years.
5 more years unless there's more inductees.
Well, 5 more a year, that's what she's saying. She
Right, but
says
that,
5.
that would leave 25, which would be 5 more years. So 5 more
Yeah.
years of inductees at the current rate of
yeah,
when
yeah.
they're getting inducted,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Oh, she marked it up there. I mean,
Are they, I've seen them where they're preloaded and they're blank, so it would look like 3 squares with brass plates in it and only some of them
Have writing in it.
have writing in
Yes,
it.
you did, yeah.
Yeah, it still looks kinda weird.
Keep building it up, so-
try it. I
But would
don't know, it's like
it
lagging.
would be the
It would be,
same,
it would be the actual plaque though. It would, maybe the shape is, it would be
would be the
plaque.
same shape.
Oh, somebody stole the screen.
You're still in there in the background.
Who's controlling the screen?
I just did a very quick, like a black box behind it, just to give you a visual of what that looks like. It's not truly a square, but just to give you a sense of what it looks like was in the little clip.
Not the same shape.
Right. It would be, I assume it would be the same shape, so, but I just did literally just a box, just to give you a sense of what it would look like.
So Riley, a couple of suggestions are the other black square with the badge over it. Another suggestion that came out, I don't know if you heard, is another black square with plates on it, but no names on them, right? And then
How are the plates affixed to it?
probably 2 little nails, I'm
I mean,
guessing.
the ones we have are 2 little nails.
Yeah.
Taking them off and.
Yeah, you gotta take them off,
You
that's a
gotta
pain in the
grade,
neck
yeah.
for sure.
But they don't, they have to take it off to a grader, right?
Yeah.
We can take off 5 plaques once a year.
I'm with you, Dan, but we all see some crazy things happen.
But we don't need to talk about it here. Next week, Dean, if I could just pause for a second, because Dean has to leave. Next week, we gotta, gonna try to get Mike Tyler go up to the press box, because it's supposed to be re-energized. Just make sure it works before the season starts. And then shortly after that, the same with the lights. That's it, I don't think, anybody need Dean for anything?
Thanks, Steve.
Just not right now.
Okay, buddy, thank you,
Have a good night, Dean.
see you.
Right, so-
All right,
All right, any more discussion on this? I did want to just go back to the site sign and just give you a quick update on what we're doing for that.
yeah, let's,
At the last meeting there was the suggestion to change some of the text, and they made those changes. Is there any other thoughts on the text or the layout of that other larger plaque?
Of what, this
The
one?
graphic,
the graphic.
the one that's
Oh,
changed.
I like the new one.
I like
I
the
like
new
what
one.
you did there.
I like, yeah, that's what I was envisioning
like
as the
your-
change, I like that better.
This here, right?
Yes,
Okay,
and the T is wider,
so we'll move on this one, Ken, okay?
yeah, I like
Yep.
that one.
So we're gonna move forward with this.
Are you looking at the one I just put in there?
No, we're
No,
looking at
no,
the
the
Ts.
T one,
The T one.
You see the screen share?
I see, what we see is the gym lobby wall graphic one.
The graphic one, that's what
Yeah,
we're,
that's what we're talking.
yes, that's the one,
Custom graphic.
custom graphic.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah, like
basically,
that.
we're saying that this is the final version.
Right.
You need to take a
Okay.
vote on.
I'll make a motion that we accept this graphic for our gym wall.
Second?
I'll second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Or a period, what you do would do well, it needs a period after well.
I would probably remove the period. Nothing
Okay.
else.
Oh,
Period.
yes.
Yeah, good catch.
Good catch,
Yeah.
Danny boy. The old eagle eye.
Eagle, without his glasses too.
Yeah, it's far away, I can see you without them.
All right,
Okay,
all in favor?
Aye, okay.
Everybody's here, okay, cool. Riley, go?
Sure. Yep, thanks, Riley. All right, so just a quick update on.
Okay, I'm sorry, one more
Is-
thing.
Sure.
Gary's
Can you-
still on?
I think he's got the grandkids. Could you go back to that?
But we need
the
him
wall,
for
the
voting.
Elevation of the
Yeah, he
wall?
voted, I heard.
He voted. Did you, do you think there should be anything over that monitor?
Like words?
Yeah, I don't know what.
So that detail you also have at the main high school entry, what you're looking at is
I
a
thought it's like,
recess,
It's a
and then the
recess.
screen fills the recess. It doesn't fill it.
Yeah, I wonder how much it shows.
My only concern about putting like decal letters there is if you ever replace the monitor and size change.
We'll figure it out.
Okay,
All right, so very quickly, I think everybody's aware that the zoning variance for the sign didn't go through, so we are proceeding with 2 street signs that meet the regs, so it'll just be an administrative approval to put the signs up. And then we're going to develop a electronic display board sign that would go right here at the junction between Major Vesey Drive and the drive that goes to the east,
Yeah, daily.
Daily Drive connection. So you'll have the 2-sided electronic display board sign there. You'll have a 2-sided street sign here at Winthrop with this message. And these letters will be backlit, the one at Winthrop. So you'll have lighted letters there, and then a single-sided panel sign at the Daily Drive entry. And those letters will not be lit.
and that one won't say central office, just Torrington High and Middle?
Correct. We didn't think we needed central office or central administration on this one because that's not where the main entrance would be for central administration. It would be over here. This is just a bus entry mostly.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Did we go with the cladding design? Is that how did we solve this by reusing the old sign and cladding it off to make the requirements for size?
It's a slightly different sign design, but it meets the regs, yes.
But it's with our old sign.
No, these
No.
are all new signs. These are all being proposed as new signs.
On campus,
The electronic display boards will be from the existing sign.
That's what I'm
But
asking.
only the
Yes.
electronics part,
Only the electronic part.
the whole
This-
rest of the
this
structure
panel.
is new.
we don't have the same, regulations on campus as we do.
Oh, so we're
in
just
the
gonna,
road.
we're gonna put the old sign at a grand size and leave it off the street.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And we already worked it
So
out with
we're
Jeremy.
reusing the old sign.
Yes, but
Okay.
not
Jeremy, but that, we can put that there.
What's the maximum size for the Winthrop Street sign?
5 feet high.
And what's the width? 16 square feet?
No, it was 32 square feet
32
of
square
sign.
feet. Oh, so that's a good size sign.
And this is what it is now.
It's just, it's the ground, it's up in the air.
All right, that's all I have.
okay.
So I just noticed, I don't know, I'm sure this is just a mock-up, but in one place it's high and middle schools, and in another place it's high and middle school. Did the Board of Ed,
They left it in middle school.
high and middle school?
Well, we
That's a
just
good
called it
catch.
Torrington,
Up
the
on the
decision was just
electronic
it's Torrington Middle School, so how you
yeah.
depicted it here would be.
Yeah. So,
Is it schools or school?
I thought last time schools was on the one there, and then the other one, I thought the agreement was keep it at school, but that was my recollection, but there was a lot of talk back and forth about schools or school. Because there are 3, it's done 2 different ways, that was.
yeah, let's keep it the
To be
same, whatever we
consistent.
decide.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna make a note here to take the S off of the electronic display board version.
I would say add the S to the other two,
Or add the S
because
to the
it's
other.
schools.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
Torrington Middle and High
I would
Schools.
either, I think it's a Board of Ed, like, to make it official, but I would either say Torrington High Middle School. There are other places in the state that do that, or Torrington High and Middle Schools. Once you put the "and" in there, it's
Yeah, schools,
almost,
Right.
I think, yeah, they are.
but I don't know.
So,
There's also, was a lot of discussion, well, a lot of talk, especially with the public, to keep them separate. You know, that middle is separate from high when they're in the schools, you know what I mean? So it's like really two different schools on one campus.
yeah, I got you. So you wanna call them schools is what you're saying? Schools.
Because it's two different schools. It's just,
It's a mindset.
I
They're on
know,
the same bus,
John,
right, exactly.
Buses.
buses.
John, what do you like, John, since you're
What do you
here?
think, John?
One building. But the word "and" does bring the confusion. Angels dancing on the head.
I'm good with either way.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be consistent and then it has to carry
Right,
through
all
to the
three should be the
plaque.
same.
Anyone have a
That's-
quarter in their pocket?
I'm gonna,
No, I have a phone, can be like front and back.
So
Sure, if you don't mind breaking your screen your phone.
so, Kemp, when will this group see exactly what those signs look like?
As soon as we get a decision on S's,
On that type of stuff?
finalize it.
Next for Wednesday.
But you're leaning towards similar to what the digital sign was looking like on the road? For the road sign,
What do you mean?
you know, the whole metal cladding with the,
Oh, yes,
you know, with the wraparound T type of thing?
yep, it'll be a steel frame, very crisp and clean. The back panel behind the letters. Go here. So the back panel behind the letters will be the same, Alucobond panel that Dan spoke about earlier with the silver finish, and then the gray letters like we have on the building.
All right, here we go. Lewis Mills
Really?
High School,
They're totally different names.
Harbor Middle School.
Right, they're different names.
That doesn't help.
There's a few in the state that are combined.
Who else? You remember anybody?
Is it Naugatuck? I think Naugatuck is, aren't they?
Maybe not in the state, maybe they were out of state.
How about Northwest Regional? What's Northwest Regional 7 called?
Northwest Regional 7.
That's middle and high school,
Right,
right?
but I don't think they say.
But they don't
that.
say that, they just say,
It's
yeah.
Northwest Regional 7. Okay, whatever Kemp,
So
keep
is the
it
sign
consistent.
for the building or is the sign for the individual schools?
No, this is the sign around the property
It's the
coming in.
sign at the
So it's
street
for the,
for the building.
Let's
the
just
building.
cut to the chase and go schools.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
all right with that, Mike?
it's not in this state, but where I've seen it combined, Benbrook Middle Dash High School. Like, it's that "and" that just kind of trips your brain up a little bit, but
right, yeah.
Grand Rapids does it without the S too. They do city and then it says high dash middle school.
like dash. Yeah, so
Dash
it's
instead of
I
an
mean,
and.
I don't know if we wanna go to a dash or not, but
Oh.
I think if we.
Turn everybody upside down if we
Right.
change
Yeah, yeah,
names.
yeah.
So just leave it school, right? I wouldn't say take the "and" out.
Mr. Corrective Lenses,
High school, middle school. It's got two school.
two schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says middle school, high school.
Word
Correct.
school twice.
Right.
So take the "s" out of
So I
it.
think, yeah, if Slam moves forward with the S, then they'll do the rendering next of the permit.
Yeah.
You know, what they're gonna
Take it
give
out.
me to build to, there's gonna be the last look.
So I'm hearing two things though. I'm hearing add S's to the street signs, and then I'm hearing take the S away from the in-campus sign.
I don't know.
Either way works for me,
Yep.
but I see the and to me as plural.
Where's an English teacher when you need
Well, that is true. That's an excellent point. The and,
That's what throws me off.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
Right,
the and is plural.
signifies plural,
But then
right?
once we take that away, then like, just on chronological, Torrington Middle High School sounds better than High Middle School, you know, but that's, then it becomes, we're just overthinking it, to John's point.
Right, it should be middle then high.
Oh boy.
Let's not change that.
Exactly. All right, let's get the
Okay.
S out of our system
So do we want the S or not want the S? That's
Right.
the question.
right now. Who wants the S? Bang, make up your mind right now. Who wants the S?
Yeah,
Show of hands.
I guess I'd go with the
If it's an
S.
and, I would
If it's
say
an and, I'd
S.
go with the S.
That's
It's
3
plural.
S's, 4 S's. The S's have it.
Okay, so
At least until
the
next
last note I made was add the S to the school on the 2 street sign.
Yeah, there you go.
So
keep it
schools
as
it
it
is.
So they're all the same.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
all right.
What was your
great.
second concern? Oh, that middle should
Why
be
is it
first?
high and?
We wanna go down that
We
rabbit
don't
hole?
have to go down that road,
No.
no, I think on everything, it's just, if we were going to take out the and, to me, Torrington Middle High School
Yeah.
sounded better than the reverse, but I think the S.
Regional has high school over middle school.
Yeah, yeah,
And so does Lewis Mills,
right.
Yeah, I get that from, yeah,
cause it's higher.
but they're two different names, so.
That is not why.
There's 5 floors.
What's the, they're also not named the same thing. You have part of
All right,
it.
onward.
But,
Okay.
wait.
Hold on.
Coming for it.
I know, sorry. But the whole project is Torrington Middle School, High School, Central Administration. So why is it middle first?
Oh, boy.
Well, I just.
I'm just-
He just, this is ONG's screw up.
Probably actually through it.
Yeah, it's always been, everything's been high school, middle school.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
No, it's been middle high.
At the state, it's the high school, middle school.
is
I
it?
take it
Yeah.
off the cover page of the construction documents.
Oh, my God.
At the state, we filed an application.
It's high school, middle school,
Yeah.
central
Let's go
or
high school, middle
administrative
school.
offices. Okay,
Okay.
if that's how it is with the state, then that's,
Yeah, and that's how it is with the other 2 schools too.
okay.
Okay, next thing, the dedication plaque. You, gave me those changes, and there it is. We got all the changes that you made.
I would just add an S now,
Where?
to the top, right? Was the decision we were doing schools?
Or, and take the
Oh,
and out,
okay.
but make it an ampersand. if you're
Make
gonna
it
do
an
it.
Ampersand, right.
Second hand.
Or,
You got it.
Right,
everything.
and consistent
I got it.
message, right?
I mailed it.
Yeah.
No, I got you.
It's in the back.
It's right here.
No, I don't need to see it, I've seen it. I just didn't know if everybody else
Okay,
saw it.
so, just add the S.
And I heard change and to ampersand.
Right.
I didn't have that.
It should
Yeah.
match
The
the
and is an
signs.
ampersand, just like in
Yeah, if we're gonna stay
the,
consistent with the sign, you do an
Yeah.
ampersand instead of an A and D.
Cursing at me again?
Ampersand.
Wait, and is,
Ampersand.
wait,
yes,
and
I
is
heard
the-
it, Ed.
What about the colon after co-chairs, cause there's no colon anywhere else?
Does the co-chairs have a hyphen in it? I don't know.
is there anything else with 2 people though? Like construction manager only has ONG, you know what I'm
But there's
saying?
no, I agree, I don't think maybe it should have a colon.
Okay,
Whatever, doesn't,
it's fine with me.
So we're,
you got that?
So no colon after co-chairs.
Yeah.
Take out the colon and add the S.
And it,
And
take
then
out the
ampersand.
And change the
And
and
put
to
the
ampersand.
ampersand.
So a reminder to everyone that this is a 36-inch tall sign.
Well, that's a lot of names.
There's a lot of names.
It's gonna be huge.
Sign.
Big letters.
We had to put a J in there.
So
Again
for,
with the large.
Michael J. Wilson.
Okay,
for an English major also, is there a hyphen in co-chairs?
There should be.
I just asked that question.
Jesus. You hear that, Kemp?
I'm
What?
sorry,
Hyphen.
co-chair, hyphen chair,
okay.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
I got it.
That is correct.
Word on the street is it's can go either
it
way.
can go, yeah, that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna
No need
make the
to take action.
nightly news anyway, no matter what we do, it's not gonna be anything people talk about.
Oh, yeah.
New Hartford pigs, that's what's gonna make the news.
Right.
That makes news, but this is.
This one.
Right, that's true. Illegal pigs in Harvard.
Okay, Dan, you want us to get going?
Okay, we're on it. You're looking at PCO reviews.
Yeah.
So reviewed this past month, I'll start with PR 65, which is PCO 263 R1. Temp Health Classrooms, that's the additional classrooms, HVAC cost on that. Landed at 24,000 plus markup. For a total of 25,000.
They're all 24,000.
Yeah. Okay,
Must be his favorite number.
next.
Next is PCO 287, Again, this is the space changes made, the last of our costs to vet and approve was the HVAC and communications cost. It's a cost of $46,000. Next is a smaller cost charged to the CM contingency. That was in phase one, we installed a hydro separator, which is a device that drags the sediment out of the water before it discharges, and had to be converted to a CV top in this phase. Next item is we had an issue with how the partitions mounted. There was a conflict in the overhead ceiling with a register, so we had an additional cost to go to what's known as wall braced instead of head braced. A $1,200 cost for that. 2 window sills that were not shown in the toilet rooms on the 4th floor. Solid sills, or solid, lost the word there, but it's corian tops that you have in all of your sills. That's why there's a large cost for that. In the middle school CAF, if you recall, the Board of Ed meetings, there's a new AV system scheduled for that space. As part of our work, we installed both the rough-in and the structural cable so that your vendor can come in and just plug and play. That's the cabling portion of that cost. I'm on to PCO 311. That's a no-cost change. That was something that what is a VFD or a drive that runs the pumps didn't have the appropriate clearance that goes all the way back to MJ Daly's initial coordination of the space. So they had to pay the electrical trade to take off the power, and they paid for it. It's actually $0 cost for the project. Mag hold opens, these are the devices where we had a couple that were missing, and then we also needed to extend the hinges because the doors didn't pivot out far enough to reach the walls. And so we have extended hinges as part of that cost, and then there was a couple of devices that weren't shown on the documents that were required. A $1,400 cost. Let's see, this is another back charge to MJ Daly as they were bringing in the air handling equipment. They did some damage to curbs and that retaining wall that you saw earlier in the presentation. No cost change to the project. Temporary toilets comes as a cost to the CM contingency. Hoping to see that number start to reduce on a monthly basis, but this is a cost that we're tracking that you will need for the balance of the project. That goes back to the original allocation of how much cost we had applied in the base contract. These are verified costs, there's no markups involved to the trade. This is how it's written. Like see, area A, exterior soffit lights. In the contract drawings, there were 2 larger recessed light fixtures that didn't fit within the envelope of what is the air vapor barrier envelope of the exterior of the building. It would have required large pockets in order to ventilate those. So we brought that to the design team who came up with slot fixtures or linear light fixtures at a cost of $2,700 to the project. In stair 1 and stair 2, we hung the first what's known as a cabinet unit heater in the airspace in the vestibule as you came in from the Board of Ed entrance, and it just didn't feel right. It created a lower ceiling feeling than you wanted to have, and it also blocked the view of the exit sign. Upon review and decision, we had 2 locations like that, and it was decided that really wall mounting those pieces of equipment was a better aesthetic appeal to the project, so there's a $4,300 cost for that. In the display cases, the original design had LED fixtures that were canted or fit in the top of the top front of the box at a 45-degree angle. It's really not what was ultimately in SLAM's design for the display cases, so we replaced the light type fixtures there at a $2,000 cost. Small problem in the coordination of how the sanitary piping, it's about 30 feet of pipe that wasn't shown in the docs that we took to the CM contingency side, connected 2 dots with pipe. Acoustical sealant, that was a buyout problem from the original project. When I bid the job out, I missed the scope of work. We've been tracking that cost and doing pretty well to the overall number, I believe, I recall, was around 40K for the entire building. And as we progress through the building, we've been charging that cost off to the CM contingency. Next item is a power discrepancy between what was in the electrical documents versus what was in the mechanical documents. Just a little mishap in the size of the conductor was too large, bigger wire than what could be landed on the pieces of equipment. So we needed special splices in order to reduce that wire size. At a $4,500 cost to the project. In the project, there was annotations, sorry, I'm up to PCO 321. In your OTPT room, it typically has a swing, and it needed a device in the ceiling to support that swing, and that wasn't in the construction documents. We brought it into the construction documents because it made sense. It's actually a structural steel frame that is your whole construction. As oddly as it sounds, but to support a 300-pound person from something off the structure, structural steel was involved. And we built that. That actually got installed about a week and a half ago. Last item was a couple of door pulls. You have really large, beautiful door pulls that we had to add a couple. And then there was one, so that was the $1,700 cost. I think that's 2 additional door pulls. Yeah. And then we added a series of card readers around the building to pick up more card access from the exterior. And in totally building that out through the E and F portion of the building, we're short 1 power supply. We couldn't make the length of run work for a set of doors, so we had to purchase 1 more power supply. And lastly, we had, way back at the beginning of the job, the disconnect for the fire pump wasn't large enough for the power demand on the fire pump. And so a long time ago, we purchased a larger fire pump disconnect switchboard. But having the building energized and that piece of equipment just arrived, it actually arrived last week, we have to de-energize the building, which we can only do on a Saturday because we have 120 people working on the property. And so the cost from Eversource to come out and do that is a $1,400 cost from Eversource.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve all the PCOs? Second?
I'll second it.
Second, Mario. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Next one is just analysis of the progress payments. So far, we received $83 million. They're holding back almost $8 million. Just to let you know, I put this in on June 3rd. And they called me and says, well, you're not gonna get paid because the state doesn't pay anybody in July. So we got paid the end of July and we just put another one in. It's random, so it's crazy.
Can I ask a question? I hate to go back, but since I'm taking notes, I don't wanna be on the hook.
No.
In making an important decision, like naming a school going forward, should we have a motion? I know we kind of just said how many, but do anybody feel the need to have a motion that we adopt that name? Or are we good?
I think it's for the design, for the next design. They come back with a final review, so there's probably no
Yeah, we
No
can,
motion
we can
required yet.
approve it.
Hey, I don't know if
Once
you're
you-
changing the name of the school as much as you're changing what's on the sign. And that's only a draft at this point.
But the sign would reflect the name, so kind of backing into that.
And it would be good if, so that the next time it comes, that's the
We
final
should-
version,
yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
pushing it to another meeting,
Right.
because then it's another whole month before you make the sign.
I mean,
Correct, but the go-ahead was to make the next draft, and then at the next meeting would be a motion to, but I would agree. This is just for Kemp to do the final draft.
Okay. As long as everyone's
You
comfortable
are
with that.
totally got that one,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so on the website, it's for the building committee, it says Torrington Middle School, High School, Central Offices, so middle is first.
Jeez.
I don't wanna be a pain, but middle is first, middle and then high.
Well, what's that on?
It's the building project
The building
website.
project website,
But are we thinking we won't get paid if we change the name of it?
No.
Slightly?
No,
So
they-
I don't know that we need to give
No.
ourselves hostage to that.
No,
Get back to your question.
For a different school.
New project.
We're gonna vote next time?
yes.
Well, that,
Okay.
right, correct, it's just to do your final draft.
Well, yeah, but, what we were trying to do is prepare the PR to get to O and G so they could price the changes. The letters matter, the number of letters.
But it wouldn't matter if they,
Yes,
What is, what do
middle
you have
school
on
is
there?
more expensive, it's before high school.
Well,
If we put it after, it's more money.
Well, if we're still doing middle ampersand high schools, that's fine, then it doesn't matter. But if you're doing middle school and then high school and some,
What is that from?
So what I asked Mike to pull up is what is on the cover page of our construction documents.
middle height, yeah,
Middle
there
high.
it is.
High school.
Middle
singular.
slash
Yeah.
high school and central administration building.
yeah, but that's just what we created, so.
Oh, so that's not, right. I don't know how the.
Yeah, I think the point is there just needs to be an official body.
State, when we submit a payment,
Yeah,
right here, what does it say? Torrington High Middle School. Told you, that's the application.
okay.
Yeah,
High middle school though, but it's not what we're saying on the signs and such. That's in terms of, it's not saying high and middle schools. It's saying high middle school.
Well, it said high school and middle school. That's on the,
Oh, and so it breaks them out separately.
High
I
school
can make
and
this-
middle
yeah.
school.
I can make a
Okay.
simple
school
suggestion,
dash
that I sense the apprehension over the decision, not knowing which way to go. We have a meeting in like 6 days.
Yeah, that's
And we
what I,
could- and we could just-
exactly, as long
just
as
make the
people
board
felt,
decide it.
right, and I don't know the design team time, I know it wouldn't take a lot of costs construction wise, but if it's time for them to redo it, but
If you wanna know high,
do it the meeting,
it'd
six
just be easier.
6 days, take care of it.
If you have a board meeting in 6 days,
We
I
do.
can get this changed to add the S, send it to you, and you
Yeah.
can review it and vote on it.
And then
think
you
the
could
Board
just,
of Ed should do
then you just have the
Does
problem
it matter
solved.
the order?
It wouldn't matter the order.
No, well, it doesn't matter the order.
Unless someone feels that the order matters.
Well, no, I mean, the price
It
wouldn't
won't matter
change.
No, it doesn't,
Holy cow.
The cost doesn't change if the order's
right,
reversed.
right. The cost
We
doesn't
agreed
change
here
if
that
whichever is first.
it seems like the Board of Ed would be a good body to make this decision.
Okay,
So
correct.
then perhaps it can get on the
All right,
agenda.
We'll get it on the
for
agenda
next-
for Wednesday.
there you go.
and also you get, I always give you, which I do, is a list of payments to all the contractors and so forth. And that list is $118 million. Okay. Next, payment of invoices, the first one, Innovative Engineering, they sent us two. The first one was not paid because they included reimbursements, and we don't pay for reimbursements. So two invoices add up to $9,248.52. Have a motion to approve. Doug, thank you.
I'll second.
Donna,
Trying to get to it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one is BL Industries for $8,951.25. Have a motion to approve that one.
So moved.
Ellen, and second. Doug, thank you. You're hot tonight, Doug. On a roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one is Slam, $41,225. Have a motion to approve. Doug, Donna.
Doug will second.
Doug is second.
Sure.
You're getting extra pay for this, don't forget. All in favor?
Tell the
Aye.
grandkids.
Next one is Tri-State. As you know, we have pushed them back because we don't need any
As much.
as much. We do,
Testing.
they will be testing the concrete and so forth. So their bill is $687.50. Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, Ellen, second. Donna? All in favor? Okay. Next one is National Library. Remember, they took all the books out of the library, they're storing them, and the storage is $180 a month. And again, in maybe earlier than December, if the furniture's in the high school, they'll deliver the books earlier, so that's their storage fee. Doug?
Yep, I want that.
I'll second.
Second. No.
What?
All in favor? Aye. Next one is total communication.
Yeah, I see.
That's all the licenses and items that they have. And as to the licenses, we had to purchase in advance so they can start working in the school. So it's $137,021.59.
So.
Have a motion?
so-
Ellen?
I'll second.
Second, Donna? All in favor? Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Next one is R&B. They gave us a credit, you have the credit in your packet of $17,780. We discussed that, myself and Nick D'Agostino, so they agreed R&B. So the net price is $328,073.50. Have a motion?
So moved.
So Ellen, second,
Second.
Donna. All in favor? Okay. Next, comments good in order. John, anything?
Did we skip Boxlight?
I'm sorry,
Boxlight invoice?
It's a packing slip.
it's the packing
Oh,
slip, those are
slip,
packing
gotcha.
slips.
Yep.
Packing slip for.
So we know that they received,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. John, anything?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Doug?
I don't know if it goes back to the Hall of Fame group, but I would be in favor of keeping the mock-up for the Wall of Fame that was proposed tonight, the slam drawing. I didn't want that to disappear, I liked it the way it was.
Yeah, just so you know, the Hall of Fame design is done independently by them,
By them.
with Slam's overview,
Okay,
oversight, I should say.
I would just be in favor, I liked the design as it was
Yeah, I
presented.
like it too. I think it just needs a little tweak maybe. Like the whole thing.
Donna, anything?
I'm set, thank you.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Nothing, thanks.
Mike? Well, then you-
Nice, Mike.
Thank you.
Kemp Welty, you reach
I
out to
did not
him?
get it, I reached out to him, did not get in contact with him today, I will continue calling.
All right, we're gonna have to look for other sources, because Dan's been trying for a month, well, it's still a month. How about the window glazing? What are we doing with that? Where are we doing it, I should ask?
You talking about the film?
Yeah, the film on the windows where the compressors are,
Chillers there?
chillers rather, I'm sorry.
The PR that we submitted was for the two windows at the corner, second and third floor.
Okay, so both floors, okay, that's good. Yeah,
We're negotiating that, yes.
please do.
Got the first price.
Bailey,
Not quite there yet.
Bailey doesn't do film, do
Is
they?
that from Cherry Hill?
Okay, good. All right, we talked about the bank. I got an update on the turf, somewhat, baby steps. The state sent our mayor and Michelle a letter saying that the $6 million, we could accept it without a referendum because the $1 million, or the 15%, I guess it is, that we would be responsible from the $6 million, we are still way under what the voters approved, right? Because, and the reason for that was because we went from 65% to 85%.
62%.
62% to 85%. So, it seems like we do not need a referendum for that. The mayor is behind it, but I did tell her that the Board of Ed needs to be satisfied that they're not gonna be on the hook to replace this stuff 17, 18 years from now. And
What about maintaining?
maintaining we would do, because we'll spend less money maintaining the turf than we would do the grass.
So no longer setting aside for replacement in like 10 years,
No,
but on
If
the
she
hook
produces,
for,
if she produces the letter that
okay,
she's gonna have her attorney draft a letter, and I don't wanna speak for her, but she'll correct me if I'm wrong. She's gonna have her attorney draft a letter to the Board of Ed saying the city's gonna bond this replacement
And you are
18 years
responsible
from
for
now.
maintenance.
You're
For just
responsible for the
maintenance,
yearly maintenance. And again, the yearly maintenance, we think is about, I don't know, 50 grand.
Oh, no, less than that.
Maybe less, which would be less than we'd spend on grass seed and mowing.
You're paying on now, on the field now, $6,000. And.
On the turf field
On
now.
the turf field, they said the new turf field will be about 23,000.
Yeah, 4 times larger than that, so it'd be total maybe 30. So that's it, nothing to really get worked up about, it's still a long way to go, but we have committed to October 1st, to telling these guys which direction we're going in, right? Because things are getting to a point where they need to know.
Yeah. And what they said also, we would have to, which I brought up, we have to fill out an EDO 49R, which is saying that we're getting $6 million when it's school runs. It's the document that they need to state.
Yeah,
That has to be approved by the Board of Ed.
no, by who?
By the Board of Ed has to.
Oh, by the Board of Ed, okay.
Yeah, 'cause it's,
Yeah, I got that right here.
okay,
So that's it.
that's it. You sure?
Nope,
No, okay.
but I gotta move my thing.
The only question is, what about the sewer? Wasn't that a
The
big?
what?
The sewer, bringing the sewer into the high school, wasn't that a big thing?
Or water, maybe on the water.
Or the water?
Yeah, well.
Oh, no, you're
the-
talking about the sewer permit,
fee.
sewage connection fee. Floating around there in
It's
the,
still floating, that's all.
Just like the sewer's floating.
Yeah, great meeting, and Donna, thank you for taking on the notes.
Donna.
Definitely.
One thing on the referendum, we have to go back and look, but I believe we did disclose the higher reimbursement rate in that second referendum.
Second rep, but not the first one.
Well, right, but the second referendum showed the total project cost as a result, so we probably have to look at that, but beyond that, thanks for all your hard work, guys, appreciate it.
Well, the state knew what it, because they told us, you know, we didn't.
Their concern is
Right.
the taxpayers' portion.
Correct, so they said, they looked at it, because they told us in the letter that they sent us.
Correct.
So,
Okay, good.
okay, next meeting, September 19th. Okay, have a motion to adjourn at 6:57.
So moved.
Ellen, second, John. Okay, everybody have a good, weekend.
Yeah.
Fast.
Thank you.
Fast.
Thank you.